I'm Jonathan Molinaro. I use he or they pronouns. I'm the Associate Dean of Transitional Studies. And David?
Yeah, hey everyone, David Isaac, you probably know me. I'm in human resourcing, also just assisting with Jonathan and the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Learning team. So welcome everyone today.
Yeah, hi folks. The folks here that you see are part of the Shoreline Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Learning team, who with the help of many others, help put together today's day of learning. So on behalf of the DI learning team, we'd like to welcome all of you here to Shoreline Community College's 2021 Day of Learning. So welcome everybody. We get some waving going on. So in order to acknowledge the land we reside on today, we'd like to start this year's Day of Learning with a land acknowledgement from Duwamish tribal member Edie Laura Nelson. Edie is a member of the Duwamish tribe and served as a Shoreline Community College trustee in the past. Currently, she's chair of the board of directors for the Shoreline Historical Museum and a retired Indian child welfare supervisor for the state of Washington.
Thank you, Jonathan. Community College occupies the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people, in particular the Duwamish tribe. The newly adopted land acknowledgement states, "We are you, respect your right to sovereignty and self-determination, and are committed to being better listeners, learners, and lifting Indigenous voices." The college grounds served as a special place for gathering traditional foods and ways that increased the bounty of the land. The area was used for gathering resources for cooking and weaving. As a member of the Duwamish tribe, I am honored to share this special day of learning and with you, and as you set out for increasing your bounty of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Edie. We very much appreciate you coming to us virtually here at Shoreline and doing the land acknowledgement for us. Next, I'd like to introduce one of our communication studies faculty, Elena Esquivel, who will be sharing a welcome video that we compiled for today and talking about that.
Morning, everyone. Rob Berg helped the DEI learning team put together an opening video thinking about the theme of the day, our goals, what we want you all to take away. And it was also really important to me and the group as well to recognize that we are more than a year into working at home, working remotely, and acknowledging that we are doing this work in the day of learning in the context of a global pandemic and a year with a lot going on in the world.
I've been trying to raise an anti-racist baby.
Don't tell my students, but one of my favorite things during the pandemic has been grading while watching Netflix. Oh yeah.
This is how it started. This is how it's going. And this is how I stay sane.
I've been spending my pandemic making costumes and matching face masks.
Diversity, equity and inclusion. What do these words even mean?
You know, Shoreline is an embodiment of so many different cultures, so many different, you know, folks from different backgrounds. And I think in order for us to really respond, you know, effectively to the needs, to the concerns, to the different identities that exist on our campus, I think we really need to lean into those stories and lean into what it means to think outside of our own identity.
Our theme, how do we foster inclusive change at Shoreline? We are continuing to do diversity, equity, and inclusion work on our campus. And the Day of Learning is a building block.
All individuals are welcome, all individuals are heard, and every voice matters.
The pandemic has shown us so many things that were wrong with the normal that we used to have.
Zoom has also made it very easy for us to tune out of different conversations. I mean, it's really easy to mute yourself, to turn your camera off, pretend like you're paying attention when you're really not actually paying attention.
Well, what's your internet bill? Are you working from home? Are you paying for it yourself? Are you sharing with a roommate? Are you at a public space because you don't have Wi-Fi in your house and you can't use Zoom unless you borrow a friend's computer? So, you know, no, things aren't magically solved by anything, because there's always the question of access and cost.
It takes extra work to understand the experiences of people who are different from you.
What can we keep doing that we've been doing in this time of remote operations that is still important going forward, that keeps our college more accessible, more equitable, that makes it a better place for everyone to be, students, employees, everyone.
The best outcome is people come away with something useful from the day, something new or improved that they can take back to their jobs that makes it better or easier or more inclusive.
We have a more personal touch in this pandemic that we can carry over into our new norm, and when we're back on campus, and hopefully we'll be closer than we ever were before.
All right, thank you, Elena, and everyone else who contributed to that video. That was, I think, a really powerful way to sort of introduce what we've all been going through, as well as some of the work that we want to focus on here today. To speak a little bit more about that, I wanted to next introduce our Vice President of Student Learning, Equity, and Success, Philip King, who'll give an introduction to the Day of Learning and also an update on the Executive Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion position.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Jonathan, and thank you to the DILT team for putting this together. To get us started this morning, I just want to say hello and welcome to all of you from the offices of Student Learning, Students, Equity, and Success, but also on behalf of the President. I'd like to welcome you all to this important day. It's set aside for us to learn together. Our days of learning in years past have been focused on different things. For this year, obviously, we're focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but it is so much more. Our efforts today are not just about exploring these concepts. They're also about how we understand and assess our own campus culture, how we come to understand the inequities that exist both on a micro and a macro level, creating shared definitions of concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and creating and utilizing our learning about DEI in individual and collective ways toward inclusive excellence and ultimately institutional change. What do we have in store for you? Well, session outcomes and the framing of the day will be presented by our DEI trainer following my introduction. Some more to come on that in short order. Why is this day important to me, to the college, and to our work together? As a cisgendered, white appearing man, I'm comfortable and uncomfortable in my role, in that I recognize the power, the privilege, and the opportunity I have had in my life that have come my way because of my appearance. We also know that from an intersectional lens, we're all the makeup of so many different identities that allow us to feel and experience the world in very unique ways. As a child and a grandchild of immigrants to this country, I did not experience disenfranchisement, but I was personal witness to it. As a child and grandchild of persons experiencing poverty, I did not experience this, but I am the product of these environments. Personally, as a gay man emerging into a traditional Westernized heteronormative religious family, I struggled immensely. I tell you this to acknowledge my clear privilege and at the same time give you a sense of my own intersecting identities. You know, but what's more important is these days aren't about self. And this day is not about me. This day is about all of us working together. I am but one person as a part of this larger college, and we're working together to further our work ensuring that all voices can rise together in a representational way, and much more, hopefully, clearly matching our everyday world of work and interaction with our friends, our families, and in our lives. Our world, our country, and our local community are not one that is necessarily a reflection of what we see, hear, and feel at Shoreline. Today is about the beginnings of a joint endeavor to take the steps and to build a baseline within a larger equity framework. I want to thank you all, at least for coming to this beginning introduction this morning, and I hope that you enjoy your time as we move on to our day of learning. Before I turn it over, I'm just going to give you a quick update. For some of you who've been quite involved in some of our hiring process, in particular this group and the IESC group, we've been working on the hire of a position for the Executive Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It's a very important position for the college, for us to further our work, for us to have a person to center us and to help us move forward. It's taken some time. I'm not at a place today where I can actually announce anything. If any of you have been involved in hiring, it never necessarily works as smoothly as you think it's going to. You check references or we have to work on ensuring candidates are ready and can confirm, and those things don't happen quickly. So if nothing else, we could have gone today without saying anything. I'm not really adding much more other than saying we're still in process. We want you to know that, and we hope to deliver a message to you soon about our candidate and a person who potentially can accept the position and work with Shoreline. Next for us, I'm going to turn it over to Aisha Hauser, and she's going to set the framing for our day. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip, and thank you, the entire Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion lead team. I have been working with the team since December, and it has been an honor, a privilege, and fun. I want to start with words from American theologian Frederick Buechner, who said, "Humanity is like an enormous spider web, so that if you touch it anywhere, you set the whole thing trembling. As we move around this world and as we act with kindness, perhaps, or with indifference, or with hostility towards people we meet, we too are setting the great spider web a tremble. The life that I touch for good or ill will touch another life, and that in turn another, until who knows where the trembling stops, or in what far place and time my touch will be felt. Our lives are linked together. No one is an island." I'm not sure that we needed any more proof of that than the last 16 plus months, when the entire globe has been faced with a pandemic that has not been seen with humanity for over 100 years. We were asked to stay home, to wear masks, to care for each other in community by remaining apart. And it has not been easy on anyone. I want to name that because this day of learning that was intended a year ago that you all would be together is now happening on Zoom. While imperfect, it is an opportunity to engage in a way we haven't before and with topics and ideas that hopefully will plant seeds. So I've been working closely with Shoreline actually since 2017, when I first started offering workshops here and there, and closely since December. I want to let you all know that I am genuinely inspired and impressed with the dedication and care that I have seen in every single person that I have met and I have spoken with. Yes, there is tension, there is pain, there is also care, and there is a desire to learn how to move forward in productive and healing ways. This slow moving trauma that is the pandemic has impacted and has amplified the already existing tensions at Shoreline. And I want to say that so that we all know that it's there. It's the elephant in the room, right? And so what we are offering right now today in this day of learning is spaciousness, is a day to learn from each other. There are fabulous workshops being offered in the morning and in the afternoon. Topics that are ranging from accessibility, gender, intersectionality. I will be doing one on anti-Blackness. I'm offering it twice, the same workshop in the morning and the afternoon. There are simply not enough places in the United States where this kind of time is set aside to learn about and discuss topics that inform how we relate to each other, how we understand systems in which we operate, and how we can improve and transform those systems to more positively and profoundly improve the lives of those who operate in them. At Shoreline, this is faculty, staff, and students. Shoreline Community College has made transformation a priority, and with change and transformation can come anxiety, unease, and discomfort. However, it is through work, sitting in discomfort and learning what a new transformed space looks like where liberation happens. When I do this work of diversity, equity, and inclusion, my goal is actually not inclusion. My goal is liberation. It is in a liberated society where the needs of students will be met, where the needs of all staff, all faculty will be met, and that we focus on community care. This day was set up and intended to offer what I'm referring to as spaciousness, to learn and digest the concepts and ideas you will be interacting with depending on the workshop you choose. You'll have a choice in the morning and in the afternoon to pick a workshop. You'll have instruction and a discussion for about 50 minutes. You'll have a 5-minute break, and then you will be invited for 30 minutes to engage in a small group discussion, to continue the discussion and ruminate and reflect with a small group of people what you just heard and what you just learned. Or for those of you who reflect through journaling or thinking on your own, you are invited to do that as well. That 30 minutes is intended to be yours and offer your learning style and an opportunity to nourish yourself in the way that will work for you and that you will find most valuable. We're planting seeds today, seeds that with time and intention will bear fruit. And it's not expected that you're going to attend 1 or 2 of these workshops and suddenly have everything figured out. I don't have hardly anything figured out. It's a process, it's a learning, and it's an opportunity to expand our minds and our hearts and our knowledge of what equity and liberation can look like, and make an effort to be as accessible as possible, accessible to each other and accessible to those we haven't met yet. So in this vein, I want to, before I turn this over back to Jonathan, I want to read one of my very favorite readings that I often, many of you have heard, any of you have attended some of my workshops already, but I think I always like to read it again for myself. And it is by a Black writer, a Black social justice activist named Mickey Scott Bay Jones. She's a social justice doula, and it's called An Invitation to Brave Space. Together, we will create brave space because there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars and we have all caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world. We amplify voices that fight to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. I want to say that line again. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect. This space will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our brave space together. And we will work on it side by side. Thank you all very much, and I'm looking forward to today. Jonathan?
Thank you, Asia. Thank you, Philip. Randy, if you want to send us back to the PowerPoint. So we're a bit ahead of schedule, which is fine. It'll give us a bit of space here, a bit of a break for folks to think and reflect before we head into the sessions. But there's a couple of things I wanted to acknowledge before we did that. First of all, is I think as we're talking about this day and what it means to the college, I think we also want to recognize all the folks that are contributing to this. And this includes, you can see the names here, this includes the presenters who have put together some amazing sessions, which I'm really excited to see. All of the Aisha was talking about the variety of the sessions as well as the substantive nature of these sessions. So thank you all to the presenters, as well as many of you may not be aware, but there's going to be a room monitor in each of your sessions, which is another volunteer at the college to help us navigate the breakout rooms and the reflection sessions. And they have been working with us hand in hand the entire time. So thank you to them as well. Thank you also to the folks that help with the tech support on the back end, and as well as with the SharePoint site, and of course the DILT team. And you'll see towards the end in the closing, we're going to have some student voices. So we've listed them here. I think as Aisha was talking about, sort of this space, this brave space that we're creating, this community, this college, I think the day here is representative of sort of collective work towards some of these cohesive, inclusive, equity goals, and the folks here are representative of that. Randy, if you want to go to the next slide. So just to reiterate the structure for today, because this might be a little new or slightly different for folks. Aisha mentioned this, so just to kind of outline it here, we'll have sessions. It will be 50 minutes. There'll be a 5-minute break, and then a reflection. So you'll use the same session link for the reflection, so you can just keep it open, turn off your camera, go for a break after the session, and then come back into that same link. You can also access the link through the SharePoint site. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next slide, but the SharePoint site is going to be your go-to for the day. It's going to have all the links you need. So the room monitors after the session and that 30-minute reflection, the room monitors are going to send folks into breakout rooms. And as Aisha was talking about, the idea here is, and also you'll get a prompt from or a question to reflect on from the presenter. And the idea here is to give some space for people to really discuss, talk, reflect, ruminate. We didn't want people to just jump from a session to something else and not have that sort of mental space to really think about or to discuss what was going on in that session. So those reflection pieces you can think of as an extension of the session, that 30 minutes. And if you want to go and take a walk, if you want to meditate, if you want to, however, write, journal, as Aisha was talking about, that's entirely up to you. But we want to make sure that you can have that space to really allow these ideas to sink in. Yeah, so if there's any questions about that, you can reach out to, and any issues throughout the day, you can reach out to our email contact. Randy, if you want to put the email in the chat as well for folks, if there's any technical issues or any concerns, they can reach out to. And can we have the next slide, please? All right, great. So Randy just put that that link, that email there, media@shoreline.edu, if you're having any technical issues, and we'll help you navigate. And Randy, could you also put the link to the DEI schedule that's on the SharePoint site? So what we built the SharePoint site so that it could be sort of an all-in-one sort of landing place and navigation point. So if you need any assistance throughout the day in regard to which links to go to for sessions, or to come back to, you know, for the milestones or for the closing and that sort of thing, the DEI SharePoint site will be your navigation point. It'll have, especially on the schedule there that Randy just linked, you'll see all the links for all of these events and subsections that you can access. And you don't need to sign up for any sessions. If you've already signed up, you know, you'll have the link should have been emailed to you. But if you can't find your links to your session, just go to the SharePoint site. You'll click on the session at the bottom of the main page, and in the event details, we opened up all the sessions, and it'll have the Zoom link there for everybody. So all sessions are open at this point. Thank you all for reserving a spot beforehand. That was really helpful for us to get a sense of who was going where, and as well as it allowed you to get access to those links. Also on the site, you know, we wanted to include student voices, so you'll see the student photo exhibit up on that site. Thanks to Zach Mazar and his students there. It's a shelter-in-place exhibit that of photos, and so there's a couple of sub-sites within the SharePoint site that allow you to navigate to that. More you'll hear from the artists and that sort of thing if you want to take a look at that. There will also going to archive presentation slides and resources. Some of Aisha Hauser's webinar materials from earlier this year will be up there as well. Not everything is up there yet, but after the day, we'll have presenters put materials up there. So we're not recording sessions, but we are going to include session materials up on the SharePoint site in an archive tab, which is up there now. And then one other thing I'll mention is there's going to be a drawing, which we have 3 prize packages at the closing session. So take a look. There's some pretty amazing giveaways. And also we've got books as well as things giving away from local businesses, BIPOC, LGBTQ owned, woman-owned businesses. So please take a look at those drawing packages, and hopefully that will incentivize folks to stick around for the day. But we hope that you also stick around because of the great work that's going to be happening today. And there'll also be a survey after today, so that's also linked up there, but you'll be reminded of that in the closing. We are ending a little bit early, but that's fine. We have about a half hour between now and the first sessions. So if there's any questions or concerns, feel free to email media@shoreline.edu. I wanted to thank all of the folks that helped with the opening today, and reiterate what Aisha was saying there around, you know, this unique opportunity, you know, that we have here at Shoreline to spend an entire day devoted to, you know, DEI work, and to really, you know, be mindful of this as a brave space, be mindful of this as a shared space, and to really think about, you know, utilizing this day as a way to help cultivate the inclusive community that our students deserve, that we deserve, and that we want to see reflected in the world. We are a community college. Community colleges are unique in that they can be transformational for the community. So if we are striving to be a center point of community transformation, it begins with this type of work, and it extends into our students, into our classrooms, and into the workspaces that we have. So thank you for coming today. Thank you for everybody here. Thank you again, Edie, for the land acknowledgement. And I hope everyone enjoys the day.